Chapter 15. The Pennels. Kenia followed the police cruiser at a slow roll up the driveway, back to the Pennel place. It was as she remembered it, a tunnel of green broken by pleasant shafts of sunlight, leading to a picturesque home with a front yard that resembled a junk heap from a documentary on the Great Depression. Kenia pulled up beside Officer Farrcroft as he stepped out of the cruiser, studying him and his reactions as he scanned the automotive wreckage, the overgrown weeds, and most of all, the flags hanging from the branches of crepe myrtle. He looked at her askance before nodding at the flags. "It's not what you think." She had nothing to say. Instead, the image of the hunting rifle on the shoulder of the girl from the day before flashed through her mind, and she wondered if his badge was enough to protect them both. Officer Farrcroft began walking towards the porch steps, his thumbs hooked in his gun belt, but stopped short when he realized she was not behind him. "Come on, young lady. I wouldn't put you in danger." She set her helmet down on the seat of the motorcycle and followed. She rounded the wreck of a pickup truck. Now that they were approaching the house, Kenia stuck close to her escort, nearly bumping into him when he turned to check if she was indeed coming along. "Officer Farrcroft," a voice said from the shade of the porch. Kenia's stomach clenched in surprise, and she stepped backwards without meaning to. She had not noticed the white man sitting back in one of the rocking chairs. He looked to be in his early 30s and was wearing a button-down cotton shirt, the material worn with many washings, the sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms marked by ridges of muscle and a USMC tattoo. "Captain Pennel," Officer Farrcroft said, tapping the brim of his hat. "How are you this afternoon?" "Can't complain," the man addressed as Captain said, rocking forward to stand up out of the chair and setting a sweating glass of iced tea down on the porch rail. As he moved out of the shade, Kenia could see his expression was guarded. His hair was cut short, in the manner of a man recently enlisted. Yet his jaw was unshaved, in a sort of fashionable magazine model sort of way. He looked at Kenia with iron-colored eyes and nodded, giving her a short, "Ma'am." Officer Farrcroft continued, "This is Kenia Desi. And Kenia, this is Captain Austin Pennel, U.S. Marine Corps. Retired," the captain said. "Once a Marine," Officer Farrcroft said. "The captain here served in Iraq and Afghanistan." Austin Pennell's eyes floated downward, as if he was unsure or unused to such deference for his service. "Austin, Kenia is working as an intern at the MedDent building with Miss Jolene Lewis and Thea Ferguson this summer, conducting home visits for surveys and such. Anyway, I think she stumbled into your siblings doing one of their films yesterday, and it gave her a mistaken impression." Austin ran his hand over his face, his palm brushing against his whiskers. His expression was more open now, one Kenia read as tired and a bit embarrassed. "Those kids." He shook his head, then turned to Kenia. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. They have this crazy show they do for YouTube, Redneck Manor. I'll get them and they can explain." He turned to the house and swung open the screen door. "Can I get you all some iced tea? Or lemonade?" Kenia was not sure if she should accept or not. Officer Farrcroft did not hesitate. "I'll take a little of both. So will Kenia." "Coming up," Austin said. The door eased shut after Austin, while he called out, "Shane, Hailey, Stan, get out here, front and center." Keith took the steps 2 at a time, then settled into one of the rocking chairs with a sigh, his gun belt squeaking as he bent at the waist. He offered no explanation, but he was the picture of relaxation, as much as he could be while on duty. A thundering of footsteps preceded the screen door bursting open again. The first to emerge was the youngest, a boy of about 13. The Huck Finn look was gone, replaced by more conventional shorts, flip-flops, and a t-shirt that had a cat's face on a wanted sign. Kenia did a double take to make sure she was reading it correctly. Schrodinger's cat wanted dead and alive. There was no time to process the paradox, as he had recognized her from the day before and glanced to take in Officer Farrcroft as well and mumbled, "Oh, no." "Afternoon, Stan." "Hi, Officer Keith. Are we in trouble?" "No, I wouldn't say that," he said. "Just clearing up a misunderstanding and bringing good people together." Next to emerge was the young lady who Kenia took for Stan's sister. She looked about 15 or 16. Her strawberry blonde hair was let down onto her shoulders. She stepped onto the porch with the same expression of surprise, shame, and embarrassment that her brother wore. Her shoulders shrugged high, close to her ears, as she offered an awkward wave to Kenia. Hi, I'm Hailey," she said, then bit her lip and stared down, as if she were counting the planks of the porch, or hoping a hole in the earth would open and swallow her up. Shane, the young man who had been in the clan robe, emerged last from the shade of the house. He appeared to be between Stan and Hailey in age and looked most guilty of them all. He took a hard swallow, recognizing Kenia immediately. "Well, this is embarrassing," he said. Austin opened the screen door with his foot, 2 glasses of lemonade and iced tea in his hands. Officer Farrcroft thanked him and took a long swig. Kenia was not thirsty, but she felt it would be rude not to take a sip, and if nothing else, it helped to counter the dry feeling in her mouth. Austin crossed his arms over his full chest and prodded his younger siblings. "This is Miss Kenia Desi. She is a college intern at the MedDem building this summer. She has been doing house visits, and I think you owe her a bit of an explanation." "We're so sorry," Hailey said, drawing out the "so" and "sorry." "Yeah, we were in costume when you saw us yesterday," Shane said in a rush. "See, we have this channel on YouTube where we have these shows. We were in costume. We figured we gave you really the wrong impression. The shows, they're satires. We're peddling an ironic take on, and, well, a sort of commentary on wealthy and poor dichotomies and ongoing cultural dialectic in the U.S. We sort of juxtapose stock characters and tropes of different demographics against one another in an effort to—" "Shut up, Shane," Hailey said, rolling her eyes. "It's probably easier if we just show you." The interior of the house was what Kenia would have expected after seeing the outside: gleaming wood floors, pine paneling, and redwood banisters, all finely sanded and freshly coated in varnish. The kitchen was a recent renovation, with granite countertops and glass cabinets which revealed dishes placed inside, stacked with careful meticulousness. Like the exterior, the inside of the home was maintained with an eye for detail and almost military precision. The back rooms held the surprise. The rear of the house was nothing short of a broadcast studio with dozens of set lights on stands and hanging from movable tracks on the ceiling. The walls were dark, covered with acoustic foam, except for the one wall, which served as the backdrop to a news anchor's desk. The name Folks News, written in lettering and styling reminiscent of Fox News. Tripods with expensive-looking digital cameras and light meters were placed throughout the room. Their feet set on X's of glow-in-the-dark gaffer tape. The adjacent room had been converted into a control room with 6 flat-screen monitors mounted on the walls. Tablets and Bluetooth keyboards were scattered on different surfaces throughout the room. A server tower blinked in the corner with a series of green, yellow, and red lights, its fans giving off a steady hum. The room, although crowded, bore the same signs of meticulous order as the rest of the house. Cords that ran across the floor were bundled beneath covers, with alternating yellow and black stripes, and a stack of transparent plastic drawers held additional equipment. Cords curled and twist-tied, logbooks arranged by date, and collapsed tripods labeled by minimum and maximum height. The only exception to the order were the 3 workstations. Each bore all the signs and distinctions one might expect in an office setting. One station's flat screen was larger than the others, the borders a mess of post-it notes that had extended to the arm of the overhead lamp and the keyboard as well. The next workstation, more orderly, had postcards of landscapes, famous buildings, and what looked like a corkboard of index cards, storyboarding a series of scenes. The final workspace was notable for the small army of classic Transformer figures in various states of robot or vehicle form. And this is where we do the creating, editing, and social media posting to keep up with our fans, Shane said. Fans, Kenia repeated. Do you have an idea of how many? Oh, that's easy, Stan said. We have over 3 million subscribers and 7.2 million followers on Facebook, Twitter, and the Gram. Although some of those are double counts. We hit 1 billion views on YouTube last year, Hailey said. 1 billion? Kenia asked, slack-jawed. Officer Farrcroft, standing in the doorway with Austin, sucked at his teeth, then whistled. Not bad, y'all. Not bad at all. All this is just talk. You want to see some of our videos? Stan asked. Sure. Kenia settled down in front of one of the larger flat screens, the Pennel children wheeling over swivel chairs. Officer Farrcroft announced that he would be going, but not before putting his hand on Kenia's shoulder. You all right? He asked into her ear. Yeah, I think. While Austin walked with the officer to the door, the blitzkrieg of videos began. They started chronologically with a faux newscast. The first video had no backdrop and only an ill-fitting second-hand suit and hair gel to sell Shane as a reporter. The story was invented focusing on a local man who had claimed to have seen Bigfoot. Stan played the witness in fairly convincing makeup, standing on a milk crate for extra height. Then Hailey, behind the camera, was most successful in keeping out of the frame. The timing between the brothers was quite good and made up for the amateurish production value. They were natural actors and comedians. Kenia knew her sister, Chikamara, would find a lot to praise in their technique. From that first newscast, the videos evolved into a wider cast of characters and settings. These grew into new shows, each with some sort of countrified theme. A redneck DIY show demonstrated how to build a bird feeder by sticking a toilet plunger handle first into the ground. How to build a toilet out of an unpended traffic cone. And how to trim hedges by putting a chainsaw on a rope and swinging it overhead. A cooking show shared recipes for roadkill. The sports channel featured ATV and tractor races, each staged with ever-evolving storylines punctuated by wrecks, arguments, and fistfights among the racers. Many of them involved in complex storylines with cheating wives and girlfriends, some of which uncomfortably, but sticking to type, were also siblings. Hailey played some of the roles, but other local residents had joined to play the growing cast of recurring characters and increasingly elaborate plots. As the videos progressed, the production quality improved. The Pennels explained how they had created additional channels on YouTube for the different shows, as well as vlogs for many of the characters who would comment on current events. In between the videos, and sometimes during them, YouTube played commercials and flashed banner ads for feature films, smoking cessation programs, and video games. And this is how we pay the bills, Stan said, pointing to one of the ads. Bills? Kenia asked. Well, we're doing better than breaking even now, obviously, Shane volunteered, gesturing at the equipment and the recording space. Otherwise, we couldn't pay all the extras, or refurbish the house, or pay for all the junk we had hauled into the front yard. Wait, you paid to have that stuff brought here? Well, sure we did, Shane laughed. It's all part of the set for our reality show, Redneck Manor. It's our most popular show yet. You saw some of the characters yesterday. Those flags are part of their own homemade news, commentary, and opinion show, Stan said. Kenia sat back in her seat, her eyes glazing over as another ad played, followed by another video. Let me get this straight, she said during a subsequent ad break. You started out with a fake news show that gave rise to fake TV shows, fake TV channels, in a fake reality series wherein the characters have their own fake news show? Well, it's not fake to them, Sheen pointed out. I guess when you say it that way, it all sounds quite meta, Stan said. I'll say, you three have your own little media empire up here. Who watches this? Our demos skew young, but it's really across income, racial, and education brackets. Huh? Kenya said, contemplating the jokes, the outlandish scenarios, and the characters she had just seen, each a take on stereotypes and tropes of fat, racist, ignorant, and bigoted rural white Americans with poor dental hygiene, thick accents, and bad hair. Some people watch it for laughs, but there are others who take it all pretty seriously. You can tell, in the comments, they actually agree with some of the racist attitudes we're trying to parody, Hailey said. Kenya was still quiet, not sure what to say. She thought of Chikmara, sitting in her poorly lit apartment in North Hollywood, studying her lines while still wearing her barista uniform from Starbucks, where she worked to pay her bills. How often Chikmara had complained about the limited parts for black actresses. They just want us to play hookers, junkies, or angry black women, she had said so many times over the years. Kenya had always sympathized with Chikmara in a powerful way. Growing up, surrounded by educated, professional, successful people of color, Kenya often wondered why she didn't see those people represented on television. BET was the only channel on which she would see people of color regularly, but the depictions were so narrow. Rappers brandishing bling and pistols surrounded by the omnipresent, indistinguishable video hose. And to her surprise, she felt the same discomfort in some of the stereotypes she saw in the Pennels videos. As much as she wanted to laugh at them, Kenya also kept thinking of the sad, real people she had met in the past weeks. Shirley alternating between her cigarettes and inhalers, Tracy trading in an OxyContin economy, Martha so sweet and so lonely, stuck in that house with a bitter alcoholic son, and how they were not living lives to laugh at. She wanted to ask the Pennels about it, start a conversation with them. They were all clearly brilliant kids, well-read, deeply informed, and talented. Stan was explaining how their subscriptions had exploded during the election and the weeks and months that followed, how Trump terrified them but provided them with endless material to parody. The administration's incompetence and controversy had been growing their audience, their advertisers, and as a result, their income. Kenya tried to concentrate on what he was saying, but she felt a blinding pain building behind her eyes that came on so fast that, by the time she pinched the bridge of her nose in a futile effort to stop the pressure, everything, the computers, equipment, the Pennels themselves, had disappeared.